All right. How's that sound? Anybody there yet? All right. This not having Kathy sucks, by the way. All right, so what I'm going to do... Hello? All right. All right, I don't need that sound over there because I'll just be hearing myself. David Mason. Actually, I'm going to be using the Magnum material from First String, manufactured by BCY, and it's pretty much just kind of a grayish, bluish color right there. I'm not sure if you can see that. You guys are going to have to bear with me today. I'm rolling solo. Ooh, look at that. Ooh, I can see it. All right, look at that. I was going to head to the gym today, like every day, but then I decided, piss on it. I'm going to come in here and bare shaft tune this bow. So I finally got that done, didn't take too long, and then I decided, what the hell? So I got my computer up over here so I can actually see what's going on for questions. So I'll try to keep up as best I can over here. I'm not sure if the... Brian Visco, my man. All right, so basically we'll let a few people get in here, but basically what I did today was came in, bare shaft tuned the bow at 20, and kind of got that part down. The peep is close, nothing magnificent, but the peep is close. And so let's see how many people we got in here. Shut up, Beard. Kathy's not here to protect you. So anyway, all right. Let's see. Well, that's good enough. Whatever. So basically, I bare shaft tuned it. Got that part down. Didn't really take too much. Messed around with spacing just to kind of see what it would do. But I only ended up putting putting 2 turns in my right yoke and 2 turns out of my left yoke. I messed around with spacers just for fun, but it ended up not really doing anything. So let's see, 20 people. That should do it. Good enough. I don't know how quickly this computer side updates, but I'll just roll with it. I don't think that the computer updates as quickly as a phone does, so I'm not going to be able to, I don't think anyway. So anyway, basically, number one, and you can ask Nick Fisher about this, super important, but you can ask Nick Fisher or Brian Visco. Whenever you are changing new strings, the very first thing you want to do is check and make sure that the strings that you have are the strings for your damn bow. Once again, everybody can ask Nick Fisher about that. He'll tell you all about it. So on the Hoyt here, I just look at the limb and just verify that the lengths that are on this baggie from First String are indeed the lengths that are on the limb. If not, what you'll end up with is a 72-pound Podium 37 with 4% let off and a valley of none. So, generally speaking, when I start putting together the information that I'm going to need. Basically, I usually have it all in my journal, but obviously my journal is not here. So kind of what I did a little bit here is this is kind of some of the information that I like to take down, especially when I'm putting on strings and cables on a bow that's already tuned. Obviously, axle to axle is 41, brace height 7.5, peep, which I'm going to be measuring another peep here in a second. Peep height's 5.5 inches at rest. And for me, that is from the bottom of the top of the bottom knock set. So basically the bottom of the knock to the middle of the peep is 5.5 inches at rest. My knock height turned out a little bit lower on this bow than what I was expecting. I don't know if that's because I tuned it with the torqueless D-loop or what, but my knock height is just over an 1/8 inch low. And the way I measured that was, once again, tip of the blade to the bottom of the knock. Everybody kind of does their own measuring, how they do knock height and all that, but basically that's what I'm looking at here. I'm going to be refreshing this computer every once in a while so I can at least attempt to try to keep up with anybody either asking questions or talking shit, one or the other. So one of the other important measurements to take before I do any of this is in my opinion, the most important measurement as far as peep height goes. And that is peep to arrow at full draw. Obviously, I have the arrow in here, I have the peep in here. So this one's 3 1/4. Just an easy measurement, 3 1/4 from the bottom of the peep to the top of the arrow. So I will try to find my, oh, here it is. So I'll get down here at full draw, 3 1/4, bottom of peep to top of arrow. My handwriting sucks, don't judge me. I wasn't in the proper position ergonomically to proper write in English. So now that I have that, basically that's going to give me an idea basically how to set this up as close as I'm going to get it. One of the things that I'm going to do on this particular rig here is I'm actually going to lower the rest a little bit. I ended up having to move the rest up over 1/8 of an inch. And so now it's just a little bit high for me, but this bow is bare shaft tuned. The bare shaft is hitting dead in the middle. So, which, just as a point of interest, might not be where I leave it. Over the last several years, I have been finding that a bare shaft that's hitting directly in the middle for me isn't exactly shooting. Oh, Christopher Perkins. Nice. What is a cam? You're awesome. So Chris Perkins is from Canada, so everybody let me explain to him real quick what a cam is. See, cars down here, I know y'all up there ride horses and whatnot, but down here we have these things called cars and trucks, and in the motor, if you want more horsepower, there's this thing called a cam. Google it, it's there. So anyway, little smack talk for our Canadian buddy. So basically, the other thing that I will do, and after I'm done with this particular setup, hopefully you guys can see this right here, is you can see the little gray mark that I made right there. I don't care about that after this particular process. I put one of those top and bottom only for this string changing process, not because I use it as a reference mark or a timing mark or anything like that when I'm actually tuning the bow. I don't care about that. But I do use it for this process because I change out one at a time. Adam Gibson. They do ride moose and caribou all the time. Alrighty. So for me, I generally like to change out the bus cable first. Generally because it's pretty much the most important in my opinion because it takes such an exorbitant amount of the load. These, generally speaking, like the last, 10 years, I always use strings and cables that were a little bit fatter. When I shot Matthews Apex 8, I ran 40 strand bus cables on that thing. Helped it not move when it was hot outside, but throughout my time using Hoyt, and I'll just usually take a bare shaft and just kind of put my old strings on there because obviously I will still be using those. But one other thing to Adam, I'm just using the regular blade on here right now, Adam, just because they've always worked for me. It's always been super responsive, and so I've never really had a problem with that. So here's my first string Magnum material bus, and so basically what I'll do is I will slap this on. Now, one thing to keep in mind, keep very, very close attention to was sticking an arrow on your cams to check where your cam lean was before you started, which I did. So you always want to know that because this bow is already tuned, you don't want to have to start that far over. Now, with that being said, there will be some changes because of serving size, because of serving thickness, all kinds of other variables in there. So, but basically, I got that on. I will obviously check, make sure everything is installed, and I will actually unpress this. Make sure I can count to 7, meaning that all 7 of my loops are on there, because if not, you'll pretty much blow this thing up in your face when you draw it back, which I'm not going to say that I have not done. So obviously I can see just from the timing already that that I'm going to have to put some twists in here as I knock everything over. So you can see right there on that top cam, I can get her around, but it's a bit of a push. So basically the first thing I'm going to do with this bus cable normally would be adjust the length. But I'm not going to adjust the length first because I had taken an arrow and I had laid it on this top cam to kind of see where my cam lean was to begin with. So looking right now, I'm probably about just under 1/8 of an inch off the string at the loop for my top cam lean, which is not quite where I needed it to be. So before I do anything with the length of this, stay right over there. I'm going to put a couple of twists into my right yoke just to get my cam lean about where I know it needs to be before I start adjusting my timing. So I'll put this back in here. Let's see here. People on here really don't know who Chris Perkins is. I'm going to assume you're kidding. Jorge, for indoors, I'm going to be using the 2712 with WD-40, that press. Don't judge me, Frazier. This press has been wet and in the snow and everything. Chris Perkins is one of the greatest shooters in the world right now. And so, and he's a super nice guy, which just don't tell him I said that, because his head will get all big and he won't be able to get into his Quincy. All right. So I put a couple twists in the right yoke. And now my cam lean looks to be about, so my cam lean on the top cam looks to be about exactly where it was when I started. So now that that's done, I'll add some twist to it to get my timing mark back on. And looking at how far off that was, I'm probably gonna give that an extra crank for our squeaky boys. Seeing how far off that was, I'm probably gonna give this, let's give that 3 twists just to start. And as I go through this, you know, if I had wanted to do this as a brand spanking new bow, I probably would have just pulled everything off and just started right from the get-go. That's not enough, because you know, it wouldn't really matter at that point. But since I had already tuned this bow and had already kind of done some of that stuff to it, I just decided to tune it and then just kind of come through here so I can show all of you folks exactly how I go about doing it, one string at a time. Okay, so make sure you can count to 7. Jeremy Beard, you probably have to take your shoes off for that. All right. Later, Chris. It melted today. Love you, buddy. All right. So I'm pretty close on this mark. I'm probably about another twist and a half off. So I'm going to add those right now. And basically the reason for doing all of this one piece at a time is to basically maintain whatever work you have, whatever work you've put into it. Let's just go 2, we'll call her good, is basically just to maintain whatever work you've put into the bow in the meantime. I mean, not everybody can afford to, you know, pay as much as these bows are these days and spend $150 on a set of strings right off the bat. So a lot of folks are changing strings and cables on bows that they've been shooting for a while. So that's kind of why I decided to do this build like this. Okay, so bus cable is in and retimed. So if y'all can see that mark right there, right on the money. So the bus cable obviously is controlling the bottom cam. So making sure that each one of these marks are on as we go is incredibly important. Let's see if we have any questions. Perkins left, all righty. Let's see. Perkins is a gangster. There's no doubt about that. All right. Okay. So we're going to move on to the control now. Generally speaking, kind of like what I was talking about yesterday, the bus cable takes 75-80% of the load on the entire system. So in my opinion, the bus cable is by far the most important. But as we go through this, everything serves its purpose, and so we definitely don't want to not think about any of the other components. However, knowing how important Oh, for Christ's sake. I didn't realize I'd need to be a puzzle master to get these things apart. Come on, Scott. Buy some damn paper clips. I tell you to buy some safety pins, but I think the liberals took all of them. Holy Christ. All right, so. Well, that was certainly an adventure now, wasn't it? I'm going to personally buy Scott from First String a 50-gallon drum of 50-gallon drum of paper clips, because yeah. So, and as far as the return on the bottom for the control, I like to do this one first because it's shorter and it's a super tight curve. The other reason that I like to do that is it actually allows me to keep some tension on the bottom cam because it's going to pull against everything else. So Jeremy Beard's been over here to see how this process goes several times, so he should be an expert on it by now, but he's probably not. Huge fingers and bow press knobbies don't generally go together all that fantastic. So all right, so our control is on. Basically what we're going to do is the exact same thing we did on the bus, is we're going to check, make sure all of our pegs are on. Unpress this all the way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Draw her back a few times just to kind of load everything up. Well, okay, well, we're not going to have to do anything to the control cable because the control cable was money. So here is here's the control with the mark. So the control cable was money. So we're actually not going to have to do anything with that. That doesn't usually happen for me, by the way. All right. Could everybody see that mark on the top okay? I hope so, because I'm moving on. Okay. So first thing I'm going to do here, simply because I plan on keeping these strings for a rainy day or for when I screw up, is I'm going to take a piece of material and I'm actually going to put it where the peep is. Not to actually mark the peep, but just to keep the original center of the string. Then I'm gonna try not to ruin anything here with this Avalon. And this is one of the main reasons I only tie a little 14 thousandths halo around my peep until I've actually tuned the bow properly, is because of that fact of, you know, if I end up changing stuff or moving stuff or needing the peep for my custom set of strings, I have it. And so I'm going to leave. I didn't bring my other Blaze loop. So I'm going to have to go regular D-loop style on this one, people. So, because I don't want to cut that off and lose the entire thing. Because basically, as long as you take these strings off and don't let stuff fall apart, this is a fantastic backup set which I've been known to need a backup set because I'll screw some stuff up. There's no doubt about that. So let's see here. Backwards. All right. So I will basically get this on just do a quick tie-in and explain some stuff about. Now this is a one color string, obviously, as you can see. The Magna material from First String, which is manufactured by BCY, only comes in one color. They cannot color this material for whatever reason. I don't really care. It's good for Scott. It's a color that stands out. It's a color that has some character. So we will look at all of our. And now I won't put the peep in until I get close. Obviously, once you spread the string, remember, count to 7. Count to 7. I won't put the peep in until I get close. Now, granted, when you put the peep in, obviously there is going to be a slight change to the length, opening it up. So we're a little bit short on the string right now, but not a whole lot. I can actually see the marks. That's pretty damn close for right off the bat. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm just going to take this string, and I'm going to probably take out 3 twists just to stay in 3s. For the most part, as a general rule of thumb, folks, when you're going to adjust your peep, once it's set, not, trying to get it to come back around, but once it's set, twist or untwist in 3s if you're messing with draw length. That way your peep will pretty much remain where it needed to be. So we're pretty close right now, probably a little bit under. Make sure you can count to 7 right there. So I'll show you folks real quick kind of what I'm talking about. So there's the mark on the bottom cam. You can see most of the mark, about 3/4 of it. And there's the mark on top. So you can see most of the marks right now. But one of the things that I'm going to do that I mentioned just a minute ago, Jorge Torres, any tips for someone who's just getting into indoor spots and FIDA? Well, that really depends on how much you plan on traveling and anything like that. Number one, are you using indoor spots and FIDA to practice for something else? Because here in the States, a lot of people use indoor archery just to kind of work on their form and stuff, but don't really like it. So one of the things that I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to lower this Freak Show back down, because I had this thing pretty darn high to get a bear shaft tune. And what I was talking about yesterday is I'm actually going to run this about to where the arrow will be through the majority of the hole. So I'll come over here and show all you folks right now. So I had to raise this up quite a bit to get that tune, but I am going to be running this. I can't see anything over there. So basically that's where I'm going to be running it. And so obviously the burger button hole is right there where that stud is. So it's going to be, the arrow will be through about the bottom part of the hole. And that's just where I'm going to try it at first on this geometry. If this was a podium, it would have been quite the opposite, to tell you the truth. If this had been a podium, I'd have been well above the hole. So now I have my rest where I'm going to want to at least start with it. Now this doesn't mean that I still can't tune a little bit with the rest. It just means that I just think that starting off where I normally start and have to move as far as I did this morning was a little bit much. So just like on the last couple of bow builds that you've seen, I'm going to take this nylon BCY, and I'm actually going to tie on one of my movable knock sets. And so if you weren't here for either of those other bow builds, I'll tell you the same thing I did before, same thing John Dudley did. When you go to tighten these up, don't let it bind up on itself, because you'll end up just making a knot. So I'm going to stick my bow square in here. I know about where I'm going to need to be, I hope. Right there is going to be close. Once again, when I measure nock height, I just basically tick the top of the launcher blade with the bow square, and I go off the bottom of the nock. That's just the way I've always done it. I think it's super repeatable, and it's always worked real good for me. So basically what I'll do here is I'll just go through twice on the top and the bottom, and I'll do it about 5 times. And the reason for this, and once again, this is something that I saw Jake Kaminsky do, was this actually gives you what amounts to a threaded nock set, to where if you end up doing any adjustments or you end up doing any tuning, you can actually screw this up and down the string, and then just slide your loop up to match. So it's been a very, very good system for me. I've had real good luck with it. So I continue to do it. I do it on my hunting bows, and I do it on my target bows. And the material I'm using is just the BCY nylon. It's nothing spectacular as far as, it's not a Halo product or any of that. It just works real good. Did you guys see Brady Ellison set a world record at the World Archery Indoor event in Marrakesh today? Shot a 598 out of 600. It's pretty stout. Basically, that's balling. So congratulations to Brady, if any of you out there care about the recurve side. I know Jeremy Beard, you don't care about the recurve side. Jeremy, you probably don't even care about the compound side. But Mike Slosher missed tying his perfect 600 world record by 1. So that's pretty stout shooting right there. So that's about all I'm going to do on that. And then when I tie this off, I'll just go through once. And as I come back down, I will not allow it to go under. I make it go in between one of the other double sets that I did. All right. Haven't seen any more updates, but I will update this just because. All right, so I will, as always, flame goes in that, rotate it around. Really? So apparently my fire is running out. So one of the things that I will do to this adjustable nock set here is use my fork, my handy dandy trusty fork, and basically I will just compress it. And then what that allows me to do is put on my square, figure out where I want to be, and then I can actually, you have to hold the string because it'll twist the string and won't really move, but if you hold the string and then put your fingers over it and rotate it to the left, it'll actually go down the string. Conversely, if you hold it and go to the right, it'll go up the string. I'm sure Jeremy Beard's in mourning since his idol Fidel Castro died. So sorry about that, Jeremy. I know he meant a lot to you. Just kidding, Jeremy. So I'm going to have to, because I forgot my other Blaze loop, I'm gonna have to go with regular D-loop material here, so sorry about that. So basically, I use 23 Spectra for D-loop material. I don't use a lot of the regular D-loop materials. I like this 23 Spectra. It makes a nice rock at the end. So works real good. If you don't know, if y'all don't know how to tie a D-loop on, there's certainly lots of videos out there. I can show you slowly if you'd like, but generally speaking, I will assume that most of you know that already. So one thing that I like to do on mine is I like the top knot to face away from my face, just because that's usually the one that's closest to you, and just kind of makes sense to me to have it going the other direction. So I will get this D-loop tied in here real quick, and then we can we'll pretty much be ready to move on to some actual bare shaft tuning, which is probably why most of you tuned in anyway. Todd, the Blaze loop is the torqueless D-loop that George Riles promotes and uses. Blaze Roughing, one of his students back there, uses it as well. So I built it on the bow yesterday, and then went to do a custom install today and realized I didn't have the other one, and I don't want to cut that one off the string, so I'm going to leave it there for now and just use a regular D-loop for now. I only have one more thing to burn. So I can tell you right now, if this lighter doesn't make it, you're going to see me throw a pretty major league BF. So now obviously, as you can see, that loop is extremely short, which is fine for me because I use these. Basically stick it in there, and I can pretty much make the loop as long as I want it. If you have a loop that's been on your bow for a year and you want that loop to be another 1/8 of an inch longer, no problem. We can put some stank on it, and works pretty darn good. Always want to be sure when you're doing this that you have a nice knock fit. One of the things that I wanted to show you guys that were around is the knock pressure jig that I have. So this is the actual knock that I will be using on this bow. As you can see, moves up and down fairly easily. And basically I take a scale and I pull off the knock. Whoops, kilograms wouldn't work. And I like mine to be 25, 30 ounces or so. So this one right now, is chilling at about 40, which is okay for me because as this wears in, it's going to get a little bit looser. But for right now, it's chilling about 40 almost every time. So it's about 41.6. I was getting anywhere from 35 to 44. So for me to start, that's fine. Optimally, once this string knock set is actually done and seated, the knocks where it's grooved, I will expect that to come down to probably about 25 to 30. As I said yesterday, I spec'd this out with Scott from First String, and so he makes my strings. I spec out from I tell them 109 to 110 thou, and this one's 108 to 110 and a half. So that's what I'm talking about, as opposed to the factory string which was about 115 thousandths. So it was causing my knocks to have to come off the string really, really hard. How do I make what, Alan? The knock pressure tool. I'm not sure you're talking about the knock pressure tool, so I'll wait for you to answer. If you are talking about the knock set tool, the knock pressure tool, I should say. Basically, Alan, what I do is I take a piece of shaft that fits the knocks I'm going to have. I also have this that has a pin knock adapter on it. I made a knurled knob that fits into here with pressure, glued a hook onto it. So I have several of these same shafts with different knocks on them, and I can change this one out as well if I want. But basically, you just click that on the string, hook your scale to here and pull, and that gives you an indication how many ounces it takes for your knock to release off the string. Because for me, I care about that. I care about that a lot. So we're gonna throw in this peep. I do have my measurement just so that I'm close. Peep, 5.5. So basically what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go from the bottom of the knock, which is what I always reference. And I'm going to go 5.5 inches. And so that's going to allow me to get it pretty close. I'm just glad I didn't lose that peep. Okay, and so here comes one of the things that I've been doing for many, many years. Out of necessity, by the way, because I screwed it up. But basically, I'm going to slap this peep in here real quick. Make sure all your strands are... Okay, so I got the peep fairly close. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this, because this is a one color string, from the factory, it comes with a piece of material through the true center. And while I don't particularly care to leave this material on, because it'll fuzz up, I actually use 14 thousandths halo. And basically what I do, all that lighter needs is two more burns. Basically what I'll do is I will take a piece of 14 thousandths halo long enough, and I will actually run it to the very top of the string. And now the reason I do this is because way back in the day, this had to be 12 plus years ago, I was working on a bow, my own, and somehow I hadn't tied in the peep, and I hadn't marked the center of a one color string. And I pressed it. Obviously back then we didn't have presses like we have now. And so I pressed it, and my peep fell out. Not only did my peep fall out, but the press didn't hold any tension, and so I lost the true center of that string. And so ever since then, and I thought I found it, I did not. The peep side on that bow never ever was right. So basically this little string, this little string right here, the little 14 thousandths halo right there, that will stay there for life. That will stay there for the entire duration of this string. Hopefully, I never need it. I just assume never need it. However, if I screw up, which is it's been known to happen, if I screw up and something happens with my PEEP, I can pull that down and find the true center. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to check my knock height, make sure that my knock height is fairly close to what I had before. I'm suspecting I'm probably going to not need to be that low, but there it is. That's money. So I suspect I'm not going to need to be as low as I was before. And I'm going to double check my, that's a little bit high. Right there. So that's pretty much where that's going to be. So I'm going to take 14 thousandths halo again, just because it grips, man. And I mean, when I say grip, I mean, if you pull on it too hard with your fingers, it'll lay you open. But basically, all I do is I just go over the top, down through the grooves with both sides, and then back up to the top. Pull it snug. Don't pull too tight, because this stuff will cut right into your skin, which is part of the reason that I like it. Not because it bites into your skin, of course, but because it's super small and it grips very, very well for what I'm doing. So I'll just go through twice. Get that there. Hopefully I got enough fire in here to get that side done. Get that side done. So basically, that's all I'll tie in my PEEP for right now. Sometimes that's all I'll tie in my PEEP for anything. So this is here. So what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to draw this bow back, and I'm going to recheck my PEEP to arrow height. Just to make sure. How loud is that? Just to, hey Jonathan from Last Chance, you need to make a winch for this that you can operate one-handed. Just saying. All right, there's that. So now what I'll do is I'll grab my bare shaft. That, and what's our measurement there? 3 1/4. All right. I'd say that's just shithouse luck, but that was just luck. I'm not. That was luck. But so anyway, PEEP height is good. I can tell you right now one thing that I forgot, and it's going to take me a minute to get it back on track, and that is what I forgot to do is before I tore this thing down and moved everything, I forgot to write down my scope to arrow distance while I was sighted in. So I've pretty much screwed myself as far as that goes, because now I'm going to have to kind of re-sight in and guess. I'll just kind of move it down a relative distance anyway, but that is pretty much the long and short of replacing strings and keeping your tune and everything exactly where it needs to be. So for right now, that's as close as you're going to get on the marks. So I'm going I'm going to shoot this, and let's get this thing sighted in, and then we'll see exactly what we need to do as far as tune goes. Let's see, what do we got here? Anything? Come on now. I really wish they would let you live Facebook from your computer, but they don't. They don't let you do that. And there it comes. All right. Yes, Charlie, it is a pretty quiet group. I think it's because it's Saturday. But anyway, let's go ahead and get this sighted in real quick, and we'll get some bare shaft action going here. I already got the bale down there at 20 yards, and so we will fling some sticks down there and see how it looks. I might have just pinched my microphone cord, but all right, I'm going to ask you guys want to watch me shoot, or you guys want me to take the camera down to the target? You'll still be able to hear me either way, but what do you think? Subway Yeti in the house. Can you do all that again? Actually, Eric, yes I can, in probably a week or two when I get the Prevail with the X3 cams. So what do you guys want to see? Do you guys want to have the camera on me when I shoot, or do you want to have it on the target while I'm sighting in? Your call. Either way, there's a delay here, so I gotta refresh. Hold on. Not having Kathy here makes this a lot harder. Just got to tell you that. Oh, it's all good. Okay, on me then. All right, let me stand by. All right, where's our bare shaft at? Forgetting to measure that arrow to housing, that was kind of a big deal. All right. Let's man, I'm blind. I can't even barely see down there. Is blind an excuse, Beard? I don't think so. Well, I'm not going to shoot the bare shaft right off the bat. So let's get this bad boy sighted in real quick, and then we can actually. With this loop setup, this peep might be a little bit short. Yep, that peep's a little bit low. So that one hit straight low. Yeah, I'm so blind. About 8 inches. Let's try it again. All right, that height looks pretty good. I think I'm hitting a little bit to the right, which is okay, considering we just built this bow. So I moved that peep up a little bit, so I'm going to give my loop a little bit of sideways love here until I can straighten it up. But for right now, that'll work good. Now I think I'm a little high. All right. All right, we're in the X. We're in the X, so that's a good thing. At least, I think we're in the X. Looks like we're in the X. Yep. Okay. See what this bear shaft does, shall we? If I had to speculate, I would probably say it's going to go high right, but so I speculated high right just because that's what happens. So let's go look. Nope. So basically what I ended up with was basically straight left. So my knock height was perfect, and I just need to do a little tinkering on my cam lean, which is no big deal to me at all. So I was hitting a little bit to the right of the X. All right, so we're going to do that one more time just to make sure that I'm not on crack. Any questions? Let me see if there's any questions over here. Hey, Chuck, do you add weight onto the back of the bear shaft to account for missing veins? Not on a 650 grain arrow, I don't. No. Yeah, a lot of ramen. Hey, that's the kitchen right there, son. Oh, I'm sure the bow's louder. This microphone's omnidirectional, so it's gonna pick up everything. All right, so let's get back here. Okay, so we're going to give this a little love there, and we're going to, I'm not going to shoot all of them again because we're close enough right now, but what I'm going to do is shoot 2 of these. If they're good shots, we'll go down there and look, and then I'll make an adjustment. I wish I knew an optician. I can't see nothing. The cool thing is, though, every time I shoot at the target, it's fresh paper. All right, bare shaftage. Yeah, and while this microphone is awesome for talking and walking around, any loud noises close to it, not so much. So that's probably going to be in the same spot. So let's go look. I know this is kind of weird walking the camera back and forth, but oh well, right? All right, so I'm still to the right. Still to the right a little bit. Not a lot though. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the bow. We're going to come back here and press it. And I'm actually going to see how this thing looks here. So I can't really complain because I was in the white on a raw dog bare shaft tune, so that's not bad for me. So basically what I'm going to do now is I was hitting to the left, which means I have a right bare shaft. What I'm going to do is I'm going to actually, because my timing's pretty good right now, I'm going to put one twist in the right, 1.5 in the right, and I'm going to take 1.5 out of the left. One and a half out of the left. Make sure you can count to 7. Any questions? Well, Matthew Fife, yeah, it probably is banging hard, Chuck. Well, Matthew, I actually didn't bring another one, so I had to put on the new stuff with this bow today with a regular loop, so I suck. I didn't want to cut it off the other string. So right now I'm just kind of doing what I got to do. Y'all can stare at that top ramen, and this is not my kitchen, by the way. This is Pad Print and Kelly Elliston's. This is her area, so I'm not going to touch anything because I'm afraid. So, however, if you want some tortillas, this is your spot. All right. This should probably get us pretty darn close. All right, bare shaftage. Shouldn't need binoculars or a spotting scope indoors at 20, but I do. All right, let's go look. So it looks like I might have a little bit of a knocking point issue now. So I'm getting straight. Now I'm just hitting high. So my left and right is pretty damn close. Now I just need to mess with my up and down a little bit. So we're going to, we will make a quick adjustment there. And that'll probably be the extent of it. And then we can get into some questions about what is actually happening there. So let's see. So this has confirmed what I was thinking. On the torqueless D-loop, I had to have an exceptionally low knocking point, like I've never had before. So I set this bow up kind of mimicking that, and that high bare shaft means you have a low tear. So if you were to shoot that through paper, it's going to be low. And so basically what I need to do is I need to lower this rest a little bit. Loosen it up, Pool. All right. Let's see if that did it. I'm really not going to worry about my impact point. I'll just shoot at dots, and I'll impact low, of course, but for what we're doing here and for time-wise, I'm not going to worry about it. Yeah, I think I'm down in the blue now, which is fine. All right. Okay, let's go look. All right, well, that's pretty damn close right there. I got a little bit of right, but I'm not necessarily too worried about that. As far as our impact point goes, this shot broke a little high, but as far as our impact point goes, that's pretty much it. That's going to be a damn close bare shaft tune to get started with. I will probably I'll probably add one more twist to my right yoke and take one more twist out of my left, just to kind of straighten that up a little bit and maybe even get it a little bit to the left. But all those are in pretty much the exact same spot, except for this arrow. This arrow broke high, but these two arrows right here, they're within a shaft of being in the same hole. So anyway, that is wasn't that easy? It was a hell of a lot easier than the podium, I can tell you that right now. So let's get back in here, and we can kind of chit-chat a little bit about where my knocking point ended up. Get this back over here. I'll get back over to that computer and start answering some of your questions here in a minute. I don't need ye old quiver anymore. And no, I'm not going to pull a Donald Trump and tell anybody to grab anything by anything because I'm in the other room. Hot mic, people. All right, let me see if I can catch up here on, let me see if I can catch up here on my feed. Whoop. Oh, damn. All right, hold on. All right. Thanks, Quentin. Chuck, so for what looks like about half-inch high, how far did you adjust that rest? Good question, Chuck. I was actually going to talk about that. That was about, on the Freak Show, that was about a turn, a full turn. Let's see here. Alan, how would you adjust the same situation of Aeroflight on a bow without a split yoke? Well, Alan, if you're talking about a binary cam, that's one of the problems is you don't. That's why you end up with your rest way in. I didn't move my rest, people. You didn't. I mean, in and out. Of course, I moved my rest up and down. But I didn't move my rest left or right at all. Since yesterday, I haven't adjusted jack on my rest left or right. So to answer your question, Alan, that's one of the problem with binary cams is, and I'm not saying binary cams are bad, I'm just saying that they don't allow you to do some things that these bows do, that pretty much any other cam system that allows you to manipulate stuff. Even with spacers. So spacers would probably, and I don't know what cam system you're talking about, but I hope for your sake that they have a wide limb with a lot of spacers so that you can space your cams left and right, because that's going to be important for you. Because the only other way, and there's a couple pros out there that you could go look at that have sight rods on their sights that are about that long. So their sights sticking, so their sights here and they have a sight bar like this long with their scope way out here. That's why. Keep banging off more podcasts with pro shooters. You got her, Dave. We got some good stuff coming up. Let's see here. Are you shooting a dot or a pin? Ryan, I'm shooting a 60 thousandths dot. Nice wrist sling. Hey, don't hate the player, Cooley. Hate the game. Let's see here. Play with point weights or shim cams if possible. Right? Pretty much. Yeah, you're not going to get a lot if you have a binary cam system. Jeremy Beard, yes. Matthew Pfeiffer, are you going to come down to Phoenix for the Arizona Archery Club Moneymaker shoot? Now that I'm actually shooting, Matthew, I probably will. I've just needed to get off my lazy, well, I'm not lazy, I just have too much shit to do. So yes, Matthew, I probably will. So basically that is, oh, no, there's one thing that I want to show you real quick. That bear shaft is just the bear shaft as I tuned it. Do you guys remember yesterday when I shot through paper and I just basically knocked the bear shaft the other way? You guys want to see what that actually does at 20 yards? Who remembers that? Anybody? Oh, there's a delay. I'm an idiot. All right, hold on. So I am going to, hold on. So basically what I'm going to do right now, for the most part, this bow is ready to rock. This bow is ready. All I got to do now is, I checked my all the specs were there, everything's there. So I'll just do some fine tuning for draw length now, but that's just for feel. So here's what I'm going to do. My bear shaft, I don't know if you can even see this, but on this Easton knock, there's a little bump on the top side of that knock. I don't know if you can see it or not, maybe with my finger behind it. But I shot this bear shaft with that notch out. So what I'm going to do now is I'm actually, and you saw it hit pretty much the exact same hole. So now I'm going to shoot it with that knock rotated, just to show you what can potentially happen. And we're done with the bow for now. So let's go look. That was a better shot than my last one, actually. That's a little up close face action there. There you have it. So this bear shaft, well, I aimed at this spot, but this bear shaft had hit in the exact same hole as a, am I holding that right? Yeah. So just rotating the arrow 180 degrees took this arrow from hitting here to hitting here. That's how important knock clocking is. And so if you're shooting, if your bear shaft's tuning and you are getting anomalies or, I shoot all of my stuff through paper, not for tune, but for reference. And what I mean by that, hold on, I think my camera fell down here. Here we go. So what I mean by that is every one of these arrows, I shot through paper before I even tuned anything. I shot every arrow I have through paper, bare shaft, every arrow bare shaft. I shot through paper and rotated nocks until they all tore the same. The tear was, I don't know, the tear was high left like this. I didn't care what it was. I did that this morning. But I shot, not this morning, I did it when I got my arrows, but I shoot every bear shaft through paper and I rotate nocks until they all tear the same. The tear at that time was like high left like this, but I rotated nocks until every arrow tore the exact same. So if I was to take this knock right now and just rotate it, this bear shaft's not going to hit where I tuned it. I'd have to literally retune. So that's something to definitely keep in mind. Do you bear shaft tune each arrow? No, Quentin, I don't bear shaft tune each arrow, but I shoot every bear shaft through paper to knock tune them, to basically make sure that they all tear the same. I don't care what the tear is, high left, low left, high right, I don't care. Bullet hole, I don't really give a crap. As long as they all tear the exact same, then I fletch them. And then I do the exact same thing again. And so that bear shaft is a tuned, knock-tuned bear shaft. So if I pull out that knock and replace a knock, I'll have to, now that the bow is tuned, like if I was to replace that knock or just pull it out or rotate it, I would have to stand there and rotate that knock until it hit back where the rest of my tuned arrows are. So something to definitely keep in mind. Let's see here. Whoop. Well, Chris, I think there's several things you could do to win a tournament, but I'm not sure that would be one of them. Is finding the weak or stiff side of the shaft. To an extent, Chris, yes. I've actually floated arrows, carbon and aluminum. The weak or stiff side of the shaft has not always proven out this methodology. What has proved it out is the concentricity of the components and the knock fit. There's grooves inside of the 3D Super Nocks, and if you take a razor blade and shave one down, You can't tune it. No matter how many times you rotate it around, it never does the same thing. And so it's not necessarily a weak or a stiff spine of the seam, Chris. It's more a tuning the concentricity of all the components. Just like when we put in arrow points, we all spin them, we all make sure that they're perfect, we mark them, then we glue them and rotate them back, spin them again. So I have tried that. I actually floated carbons, corked and floated aluminums. I've tried all of that. And knock clocking to me has proven to be even better. The only cherry on top of this particular cake for my stuff, if I decide that I want to try to actually shoot better this year, which if I have the time to do it, is running every arrow through a Hooter shooter. I have a Hooter shooter. It's right in the other room over there. But if I run every arrow through my Hooter shooter and fine tune the knock rotation, every one of those that I've done here with shooting them through paper, rotating the clocking of the knock and everything, that's going to be about 75% of what a Hooter shooter can do. But that last 25% is pretty big. It's not big enough that I'm going to come beat you, Chris, but you get the point. If I was shooting at your level or 10 years ago when I thought I could, I did all this stuff. Spent hours and hours and hours doing it, and it paid off big time for me. If I was Chris Perkins and I had to shoot against Jesse Broadwater and Levi Morgan and all them guys, you are god dang right I'd be doing it. Because you're an amazing shooter, and so you want to give yourself every advantage you can. Hey, I got a fourth bedroom. If you want to come down here to Arizona and hang out, take a tour of the AAE facility, we got the Hooter shooter, and just saying, the invitation's there, buddy. Doubt you're going to be able to make a Quincy, but we got dirt, if that counts. Okay. Oh, sorry, Paul. David, do I shoot with or without tennis? Usually, I used to always shoot with it, but now I actually use some tennis anti-sweat liquid for your hands. You can get it at like Big Five. Any sporting store has it. You just squeeze a little bit in your hands and then rub it in. Your hands can't sweat. They can't even get wet. It's pretty slick. So I do that. Chuck, do I do the Frank Pearson rotation test? Yes, I did. Yes, I have. Not recently, but I did it when Frank first started talking about that. And not with this bow, but I determined which way my arrows were rotating, and then I fletched up 3 with it and 3 against it. Did not mark the arrows to identify them in any way, mixed them up, and shot them all out of a shooting machine, and there was no difference. So, yeah, I don't. So there's that. I didn't see a difference. But I'm also the same guy that when, here 10, 12 years ago, when people were telling me to put, get out a hand file and file down my points so that every arrow was within 1/10 of a grain, I took the damn Hooter shooter outside and realized that 3 grains hits the same hole at 50 yards. So if my stuff's within a grain, outdoors, I could care less. Indoors at 20 with a 650, 700 grain arrow, dude, I don't even care about 10 grains. So out of a Hooter shooter, 3 grains means jack squat at 50. I don't care about any of that. So as far as the rotation goes, super nifty. I definitely get it. I have not seen the empirical data that shows the arrow come out, rotating, stop, and have to go back the other way. And I tested it years ago, and I didn't see a difference. Maybe it's more forgiving for a human. I don't know. Jesse Bathwater, he runs left helical on most everything, and I don't think he knows either. Maybe he's just lucky like Chris, but maybe I need to get luckier. Hey, look who's joined us. It's Jessica. What's the most, Jesse, did you send him negative steel springs? I don't understand any of it. Well, it is witchcraft. It is witchcraft. Oh, good, Chris. I'm good. Dude, you can mess with me all you want, Chris. It's all good. We're all friends here. You can talk as much shit as you want. It's all good. But I'm happy to hear you doing that stuff. You're an amazing shooter, so I want you to have every advantage you can. Not that you'll need it to beat me, but this other Nancy that just joined us, he's kind of good. Who is this guy? I saw the sleeves and thought it was Larry the Cable Guy, then I haven't said one thing yet. That's funny. I fletch one straight, one left, one right. So Jesse, we were talking about the Frank Pearson bear shaft rotation thing, and I was just kind of explaining that years ago when that first started coming out, I actually determined which way my bear shaft was going. I don't remember. It was out of a Vantage Elite, I think. And then I fletched 3 arrows going each way outdoors. They were gold tips at the time, and I couldn't see a difference. So that was kind of the deal there. Oh, shut up. You've been listening this whole time, Jesse? What the heck? Okay. Alan, what is the most important thing you do setting up arrows? For me, the most important thing that I use is the Ram Arrow Spine Checker. Now that I'm shooting aluminums, I don't necessarily use it for the spine, and I don't have it here, it's at home. But basically what that does is that allows me to check relative spine. I don't need it on the aluminums, but for like X10s or when I was with Gold Tip, I would check relative spine with it just to make sure there was no mislabeled arrows, make sure nothing was made out of the wrong carbon or anything. That also allows me to check straightness. And so straightness on the end, straightness in the middle, then it allows me to double check my components. And so for me, the Ram Arrow Spine Checker is by far the best tool I have for making arrows. And then once I make up and build the arrows with the nocks and the points, I'll shoot, like I said, I don't care what the tear is, but I'll shoot every arrow through paper and rotate nocks until they all tear the same. I don't care what the tear is, just so that they all tear the same. And then after that, I'll fletch them up and then basically do the same process again. And you usually have very, very little movement. I used to just use a straight hooter shooter, and it would take me all day to do some arrows. Using kind of this preemptive process combined with the hooter shooter is awesome. But for you, I would recommend getting the Ram Arrow Spine Checker and actually taking your arrow building to the next level as far as the quality of the bullets you're building. It'll help you cull arrows. It'll make sure your components are straight, make sure your points are fitting in properly. So to me, that would be number one. I think, Jesse, you use one of those too, right? I drive a Dodge Ram. Let's see. Jesse Broadwater drives a Prius with a Subaru sticker on it and never mind. I'm not going to go rainbow sticker. I don't care about that. What do you, well, Jeremy, it wouldn't help me because I don't really get to do a lot of either. I seem to be doing more tuning these days than I do shooting. Now, Jesse, he does not very much of any of it, and it seems to work out for him, so whatever. Paul Kelly, what do you do next to fine tune your bow? So right now, what I'll start doing is I'll start micro tuning my draw length to kind of get things where I want them to be, just for hold, and then I'll start kind of manipulating my timing. The stabilization is going to be fairly close because I've kind of went back to an old school system that I used to run, longer, lighter weight, because if I'm not going to have fun at this shooting thing anymore, then why the hell would I even do it? So regardless of how good I shoot, I want to at least have fun. And so for me, micro tuning my draw length will be next. Messing with my timing for hold will be next. And then after that, I will actually start messing with stabilizers. Once I start shooting rounds for score, Basically what I'll do is when I shoot around for score, unlike Perkins and Jesse, who pretty much just shoot 30Xs all the time and it gets super boring, I could do that, but I couldn't do that. I've shot 130X my whole life. But anyway, I will shoot a round, whether it's a Vegas round or a 5-spot round, and I'll remember bad shots. Like if I have a really bad dip bang, I'll know it. But basically, I'll pull off my target and then I'll turn the target over and I'll lay it on the table and I'll see the holes from the backside. And I will discount any super bad shots that I know I did. And if I just have a nice hole, well, then that's a nice hole. But if I have a hole that's nice up and down but sideways, then that tells me I need to bump my rest just like literally 1/8 of a turn, micro tuning. Then I'll bump my rest just a slight left or right. I don't know which way, you got to pick one, and I'll shoot another round and see if that group gets tighter. Conversely, if I shoot and my left and right is solid in the X, but I'm going from top of the 10 to the bottom of the 10, then I'll micro tune my rest up or down. I don't know which way to start. But generally speaking, if I have a bare shaft that's in the middle, and this is something that Jesse could elaborate on if he wanted to. Right, Jesse, exactly. So basically, if I have a bare shaft that's directly in the middle, and my group, and when I flip my target over, I can see that my group's kind of up and down. I already know from experience that I want that bare shaft to be going lower. So I actually need to lower my rest to induce a little bit more of a high tear. Because for me right now, the outdoors, a bare shaft in the middle is not shooting best for me whatsoever. A low right bare shaft at 20 yards, maybe an inch off at 430 is shooting groups like I've never seen me shoot before. So indoors, if I have an up and down group with a bare shaft that's in the middle, I will lower my rest to make that bare shaft start hitting a little bit low, and then that's going to bring that group in. Because basically all I'm looking for is, look, if I'm going to miss, I want it to be because of me, which is usually what it is. But so for me, that's basically a big part right there. Chuck, if you change your stabes, weight, balance, or position, will you redo the bare shaft test? Chuck, yes, I will, but it had better not change. There were some previous models that had some geometry stuff with the risers that did make it change. That's not good. On the Vantage Elite, where's the Mean Green machine? Hold on one second, folks. On the Mean Green Vantage Elite Plus here, I can show you. Basically, the problem that happened previous. Oh, hey Jesse, you're gonna love this. You're gonna love this, Jesse. So for all of you that like the holes down on the bottom of the risers and stuff now, yeah, there's one of the first ones to ever be. The actual very first one was on my 2010 Vantage Elite or Vantage Pro. So I actually drilled out the riser to put this bracket on there. So this is before any of the back hole stuff whatsoever. But if you look at the geometry of this riser, where this lower connection point is in relation to the handle, I can change this all I want and it doesn't affect my tune. Now, there were a couple models that came out where this was, I believe it was farther back. I believe it was back about here. Well, you could literally change positions of the back bar and it would move your bare shaft, Chuck. That's not okay. So obviously, Hoyt was made aware of it. They changed it. So I will be testing that, Chuck, but I hope I don't have to, because that was a problem previously. Right? Exactly. Let's see here. Why do I shoot a blade rest and not a drop away? Well, Jesse, Number one, because I can tune my bows just fine with the lizard tongue. So I don't have to shoot a fall away. I don't have anything against fall aways. Paul Tedford kicks my ass with a fall away. If I'm not mistaken, didn't Kendall Woody do all right with a fall away at Mechanicsburg at Outdoor Nationals here a little while ago? That was just, no? Huh? Maybe? Kendall? No? Anyway, so no, I mean, fall aways are great. I just don't need to use one. I don't have any issues with that at all, and so that's fine. Yeah, I get you, Jesse. All right, Eric Payne. So if you shoot a binary cam bow, is there even a point to bare shafting if you can't tune it without shims? You said whims, but you meant shims. You're getting into a touchy subject now. Look, I don't have anything bad against binary cams, Eric. Levi and Chance, they kick my ass with them all the time. For me, bare shaft tuning is incredibly important for a couple reasons. I didn't move my rest left or right at all doing this little bare shaft live feed today. Yesterday I was talking about when I went to Jesse Broadwater's house and way before he went to over to feed a field, and we were tuning up to a 500 down to a 340 out of his bow, and we never moved his rest left or right. We did everything with yokes. And so for me, when I look at it as from a mechanical function. And the analogy that I use is this, is if you're driving down the road and your truck is pulling to the left, you can get out and let air out of the right front tire to make it drive straight, but is that correct? Is that the best way to do it? Well, no. The best way to do it is to go get an alignment. And so when I think of a bow, I think of that as a machine. And the arrow rest is just simply facilitating that machine delivering the arrow as clean as possible and as accurately as possible and as repeatable as possible. So if I have to move my arrow rest way the hell out and I have to have a sight bar that's 3 inches long, then mechanically that bow is doing things that are probably not as efficient and not as forgiving as they potentially could be. It's not to say that people don't do great with binary cams. They do. What I'm saying is, for me and my expectations before I even go to a tournament, I have to have the availability to tune a bare shaft, or at least a reasonable facsimile of shooting a bare shaft. I don't care about speed. I don't care about any of that stuff. If I can't tune it, I don't want to shoot it. And that's not to be negative on any other companies at all. I have tons of respect for everybody out there. They're doing the thing. I'm just saying, for me, I have to be able to tune something, or I'm not even going to mess with it. That's just it for me. What if I drive a Kia Soul? I don't. I don't drive a Dodge either, Jesse, because I couldn't afford it. Kept breaking down. Let's see here. What shoots better at distance, in your opinion, feathers or vanes? Well, Bryce or Bruce? Bryce. I would have to go with vanes on that, simply because the feathers open up, which is one of the great things about feathers, is they stabilize incredibly fast. But as far as durability, longevity, and long distance accuracy, I'll take a plastic vane any day of the week. Probably not, Mike. It's a touche. I probably wouldn't fit in one very well. Okay, Cody. On my Pro Comp XL, I have found the bow sets on target better if I am one turn in on my top limbs. Is this the best thing to do, or would you try to get the same result advancing timing on the top cam? Hey, look, man, if you have something that works, and on the Pro Comp XLs, we all had tiller out of those as well. Whether it was a turn and a half out of the top, or some people went a turn in the bottoms, it's just really a matter of whatever worked for you. So if you have something that's working, as long as you're not doing something retarded. But if you've messed with Tiller on your Pro Comp XL and it's working good for you, don't change it. Period. If it's working and it's tuning and nobody's eyeballs pop out of their head when you bring it to full draw, rock it. Don't let anybody tell you anything else. If it's working for you, roll with it. Have fun. Seriously, is there any tear that's acceptable? Chad Simpson. Simpson, yeah, Chad. A tear that's acceptable. That's a relative term. If you look back at when Terry Ragsdale was winning everything, he was shooting a 3-inch high left tear, but that was out of different bows, different cams, different geometries, different wheels, different arrows, different everything. And so you can get anything to work. For instance, Jesse Broadwater or Chris Perkins could beat me with an untuned bow. I could literally have them shooting a bow that was not tuned and they'd probably still beat me. And so he'll chime in here if he's still on here. If Jesse's still on here, I don't care what the tear is. Indoors, I have that bare shaft tuned now, and I'm going to come back to it, and I'm going to start shooting and doing some micro tuning if I even need to. That thing may shoot in the same hole for me. Outdoors, however, I will bare shaft tune, and then I will do something called line tuning. And so I don't care what it is. And Jesse, if you're still on, I encourage you to chime in. But once I get a bare shaft tune outside, I will line tune my bow, and it will be shooting. It shoots the best groups I've ever seen in my life. I will then go back and shoot a bare shaft again just for reference. And most of the time, by the time I'm done, my bare shaft is low right, about like this. My bare shaft is. And I don't care about that because I've reversed that process where I started with the bare shaft just to get me close. Then I go outside at distance, 80 or 100 yards, and I line tune. And when I'm done with that, I go back up to 20 and shoot my bare shaft just so I know. My fault, your fault. Actually, Jesse had this happen. What the hell tournament was that, Jesse? I don't remember. But anyway, he thought he was having some issues. Remembered what his bare shaft tune was after he got done line tuning. Shot his bare shaft, and he was fine. The bare shaft went where it should have went. Didn't go in the middle, but that's not where Jesse had tuned it in by shooting it in. So the tear is irrelevant. The tune is what matters. And so do not get those two confused. You can have the most spectacular tune in the world for your setup, but the tear might not be that great. Which tells me one thing, which means you would have never got that bow shooting as good as it could shoot if you only relied on a tear. Let's see. Jesse, Matthew Fife. Jesse has been on the podcast. Chad Simpson, line tune, walk back tune. Hell no. Walk back tuning is in my opinion, walk back tuning is a joke. I don't walk back tune. There's no need for it. Line tuning is not walk back tuning. How far do you bare shaft? I generally just do my bare shaft at 20 to 25 yards, depending on where I have a good environment. The thing about bare shaft tuning is one little beep or one little boop, and your bare shaft is in another universe. So the situation for a bare shaft tuning has to be perfect. Your shots have to be clean, everything has to be good, or you're going to get an exaggerated result. And that's just basically what it is. Like I expressed in the XXL video, Jesse and Chris can agree or not if they're still on here, is shooting through paper is macro tuning, big. Shooting a bare shaft is micro tuning, small. And so I can have a bullet hole with a fletched shaft through paper. And I can shoot my bare shaft and my bare shaft be that far away at 20, 25 yards. I can then tune my yokes and get my bare shaft where I want it, go back and shoot a fletched shaft through paper and still have a bullet hole. So you can have a bullet hole through paper, cool, but that's macro tuning. That's not micro. I can move a bare shaft 3 inches on paper at 20 yards and not affect a bullet hole through paper. So don't confuse the two. Let's see. Paul Kelly, line tune. I'm not ignoring you, Paul. I've seen you ask what is line tuning several times. I'm going to save that for a joint video that I'm going to do with Jesse at one of the events. Line tuning is an outdoor thing. It might be snowing outside right here right now, so I can't do line tuning here at the moment. But I'm not ignoring you. I'm sorry for not replying. I'm going to save line tuning for the summer. If at all, line tuning is something that, Sebastian Pinot came over for the Arizona Cup and came up to my house here and was having having a tune issue. And I showed him line tuning and he was like, what in the hell? So we'll get to it, Paul. I think, probably. But when we do line tuning, it will be a live feed all unto itself. And when that time comes, it will be worth the wait. But line tuning won't do anything for you indoors. Indoors at 20 yards, it's irrelevant. Bryce, who is the most badass pro next to me? Well, badass by what definition? If we're talking about shooting, I'm probably not on that list. If we're talking about just badass people, I got about the coolest crew as far as I'm concerned. The group of guys that I run with are some of the best people you could ever imagine. Jesse Broadwater, Shane Wills, Kendall Woody, Chris Perkins is a super, super cool dude. I like Chris a lot. Danny McCarthy is one of the coolest people you'll ever meet. There are some truly, truly great people. Paul Tedford that dude's down to ride. He's ride or die. So there are some really, really cool people out there. Obviously, while I know everybody, I don't really know everybody. So if you're talking about shooting, I'm not even going to make that list. But if you're just talking about cool people to hang out with and just chill and just be homies with, then, I'll be your huckleberry for that. Let's see here. Thanks, Quentin. I appreciate you, brother. Let's see here. Sounds like you're a Big Bear Shaft fan. Well, I don't know who's watching this, Jeremy. I'd love to make a comment about Big Bear Shafts, but I'm not going to. Yeah. All right. Let's see. That'll be another tuning vid, line tuning. Chuck, you have no idea. Mike, do you notice different tune from one release head to another? I do. And in my opinion, it depends on two things, Mike. Which direction the hook opens and the hook. I'll explain. Good Lord, let's see here. Get through my bushel basket here. So I have two releases. Let me come on out here. So I'm currently shooting the Fulcrum, Jesse's release. Love it. Nice job, J-Bone. Can't wait for the new one to come out. About time. So this one and my old release, the HT, are very, very similar. The hooks are pretty much the same. The hooks both open up the same. Works good. I can shoot them both, and I have no problem with them. I actually use the HT for hunting. Now, when I grab I haven't shot this thing for years, but when I grab a Black Hole from Scott, the hook opens up the same way. However, the hook, come around here. So this is the Scott Black Hole, and this is Jesse's Fulcrum. The hooks open up the same, But you can see that the curvature, the lip, how smooth the releases are, or the hooks are, you can see a drastic difference in those hooks. So when I shoot, when I transferred over from this release to the HTs, yes, this hook made me hit right. And I just think it's the way that the loop comes off the hook. The hook's a little bit different. For training purposes, Mike, I do I do a lot of training with the pull through Carter, and it hits totally different. I can, if I was to shoot, I'd probably hit blue, but I couldn't shoot an X. I couldn't even hit white going to that release. The jaw opens up a different direction, and because it's a pull through release, it's kind of a heavy jaw, but it's not made for that, so I don't judge it by that. I shoot that release at home all the time. So great release. I just don't shoot it for score. But yes, Mike, I definitely do. Let's see here. The Evolution. Yes, that's the one. That's the one. So did Swamp Water bail out of here or what? Or is he just hiding? Is he scared? All right. Well, let's see. What was your favorite bow that Hoyt has made and you have had the most success with? This bow, this exact bow. This is the exact bow that I shot the best scores of my life with. That's why I still have it. This is the Vantage Elite Plus. I drilled the riser to put a low mount on there way back. This is the bow I shot. I shot a 1536 at Nevada City. This, because I'm an idiot, I shot a couple 119s at Indoor Nationals with it and several 300s at Vegas. I just never got my poop in a group at a national event, so it is what it is. But Vantage Elite Plus for me was, love that thing, which is why I still have it. So, let's see. Chad Simpson, can you talk more about blade rests, angles, blade stiffness, width, and why? Yeah, I mean, as far as the blades go, that's why AAE makes 3 different size blades: the wide, the standard, and the freak. Obviously, the wide was intended for large arrows. I don't use the wide for indoors because I don't necessarily have a problem drawing my bow with a big arrow on the regular launcher. But some people do, so it's there for you. I like it because the standard gives me a little bit more clearance, and it works well. The freak blade was a blade that Jesse wanted for outdoor archery, and basically if you're a math whiz or a CAD drawing type guy, and you take the wide launcher, the standard launcher, and the freak blade, all of those are incrementally sized down so that they all remain proportional as far as the length of the tips, the whole thing. They're all proportional to each other as they go down. And so, one thing, I had built this bow with a 10,000th standard blade yesterday. That shit didn't work. I was moving my rest everywhere you can imagine this morning, trying to get that thing bare shaft tuned, and I just could not get the bare shaft to behave. Put a 12,000ths standard launcher on there, boom, came right in. Yeah, I probably should have remembered that from last year, but whatever, it is what it is. So generally speaking, I like to see people up to about 330 grains, 340 grains sometimes, running an 8. Above that, up to about 380, 390, 410, a 10, and then above, 425 to 600, I generally recommend a 12. It does depend on the bow. The Hoyts have a little bit of designed downward knock travel. When I shot the PSE Dominator with the L6 cams, I ran a 10 for indoors. The knock travel was totally different.
I don't know Matthews. I don't know the new Matthews Knock Travel stuff. I don't know any of the Bowtechs or Primes, so I don't have any of that information. But for me, one of the things that I found to be important about launcher blades is having an angle that allows the blade to do what it's supposed to do. For instance, I had to put a 12 on here to get this bare shaft to behave today, and I could have taken a 10 and put it way up like this, which would have made it stiff, but then it would not have allowed it to react the way it was meant to react. If AAE could have got away with making one thickness launcher blade and just telling you if you want it to be weak, go like this, and if you want it to be stiff, go like this, certainly could have, but that would have violated the entire intent of having those options. So having the proper angle there is good. Like I said yesterday, I like mine in between 35 and 40 degrees. That's just a good nominal angle that allows the launcher blade to actually do what it's supposed to do. Let's see. How do I like the new PSE bows? I don't know, Matthew. I've not shot. I shot when I went down for the sales meeting, because as some of you may have heard, PSE is now repping AAE. Nice group of guys over there. Pete and John Shepley, nice people. Blake Shelby's a good guy. Bobby Vargas, great group of people over there. But I don't know. I don't have any of their new bows. I like Mahoyts. I've shot PSE. I have nothing against them. I shot Matthews. I have nothing against them either. So I've kind of go through these big waves of, I've shot Matthews longer than anything. And so, but I don't have information on the new PSEs to give you. So sorry about that. Chris Perkins, if you're still on here, maybe Chris can chime in. I know that Chris is one of PSE's, if not PSE's top dog, and great guy, super smart. And Chris would be able to give you all the information on the PSE stuff. If I was to say it, I'd just be making shit up. So no real reason for that. Now let's see here. What about lengths, or is it angle dependent? Jeff, that's a great question. AAE did come out with the shorter launcher blades and all of the same specs as the other ones. And I've not really put together any empirical data on it, but at this point, I can pretty confidently say that I think it's a responsiveness issue. And so, could we have made the standard length launcher blades in a 6 and a 9 or an 11? Probably, but that would have been prohibitive. So I don't know exactly what the ratio is, but from Jesse and Mike Slosher and some of the other guys that have tested them, Peter Elzinga, it really just comes down to, I think that the responsiveness was giving them something that they were looking for. Could they have raised the launcher blade angle a little bit? I don't know, but we're selling the piss out of them. People seem to like them. If you're one of those guys that has a torque tune issue and you're using a Tech riser and you can't get the standard Freak Show back far enough and you can't get the long barred Freak Show ahead far enough, then maybe going to the shorter blade on the standard Freak Show mount would allow you to get back another 1/8 of an inch to kind of help with your torque tune. So that's possible. Let's see here. What lens and peep do you use? Blaine, I'm shooting the Feather Vision Verde Plus 4 power. I shoot that with a 60 thousandths black dot in the middle. The peep that I use is just the specialty interchangeable peep. I don't know what size I have in it right now. I carry every size with me and a few that I've made out of little drill bits myself. And I just basically swap it out for whatever environment's going to allow me to fit that housing as good as possible. If I'm indoors, I want it to fit absolutely perfect because the lighting's not changing. If I'm outdoors, when I get in the sun, I want to barely see the white ring on my scope. When I get into the dark shade and the cover, I want to barely see around it. So that's why I carry all those different size peeps with me. I don't use a clarifier because I want to be able to go from peep to peep and not have to worry about aberrations of, distorted images. And so that's basically the deal there. Micah is shooting a 4 power. I used to shoot a 6 till I got old. And now a 6, it looks like mud on the water. I mean, I'm shooting a 4 right now with as small a peep as I can use for my housing, and it looks like fresh paper to me every single target. So if I could get away with a 6, I would, but I'm not willing to use a clarifier. I'm just not. So at this stage of my career, I'm not showing up to events with any delusions of grandeur, thinking I'm going to be in shoot-offs against Chris Perkins and Jesse Broadwater. So I want to have fun. If it starts raining, which it rained every damn event last year, I don't want to care. If I get rain on my peep, I don't care. I just blow it out. There's no clarifier lens in there. So 4 power for me works good. Levi Morgan, a lot of times Levi doesn't even use a lens. Chance Bobef, I think, is using a 2 or a 3. I think Jesse uses a 5 if I'm not mistaken, but those young kids, they got good eyes. They can do whatever they want. I, on the other hand, am not young and I do not have good eyes. So if the 4 power works for you, then roll with it. If you think you want more power, try getting a higher power, but just remember that there might be some clarity issues there for you. Also, sight length matters as well. My sight length is not short. So a 4 power for me, I mean, imagine what it was like when I was running a 6. It's pretty stout. So just things to keep in mind. Brian, thank you, man. I appreciate it. I'm getting school. Okay. On your release, it looked like you put cross cuts. Is that for grip issues? Yeah, actually, that is. This is the homeschool Joe Dirt Big GP Dremel action right here. I used to use, how cool is this? I can actually look over at the computer screen. Oh, I'm so stupid. So this, I used to use grip tape, but then it would always get wet and soggy. And so I just pulled out the old Dremel and made crisscross applesauce. The deeper you go, the more aggressive it is. And I do have another one that is a little bit more aggressive than this, and you got to work up to it. But I got calluses on my fingers and stuff, and from weightlifting and shooting. So, but yes, it doesn't matter, rain or shine. Whether I'm sweating or not, this release is not going anywhere in my hand. So, and then I actually saw that on TrueBall's newest thumb button, they actually did that on it as well. So, James Harding, any suggestions on bear shaft tuning with a youth shooter? To be honest with you, probably don't, because it's going to be now. Okay, that probably didn't come out right. That's going to be problematic because the quality of the shot needed to properly diagnose bear shaft impacts is incredibly difficult. Now, if you're a youth like Jesse Broadwater when he was 10 could have did it. One of the youth shooters that comes to mind right now is Jesse Clayton, little buddy of mine I call Sandlot, lives up in Oregon now. Jesse had the discipline and the shot execution to bear shaft. But if you're not holding very good and you're not executing very good, or if you're punchy, the bear shaft is not going to show you anything because you're not going to be able to repeat it. And it doesn't take a whole lot of movement or a whole lot of anything back here to make a bear shaft go in some weird places. And if you start trying to diagnose off of something that's not the same every time, then you're just going to have issues. Like for me, I could shoot that bear shaft assuming I made good shots. I know when I don't, but I'll shoot the bare shaft into the same, into the same group, same area, time after time after time. If I make a bad shot or if I get one of these, the bare shaft will move that far. It's very, very touchy. So, I don't know exactly the circumstance of your youth shooter. It would certainly help, but it might also frustrate that youth shooter a lot if they weren't able to execute the kind of shots needed. So I would be careful. I would be very, very careful. Well, no, let's see. Dale, what choice would you use if your blade rest wasn't an option? What would I use as an all-around rest, basically, if a lizard tongue wasn't an option? I would probably go with, I'm a big fan of AAE's DOA. It's a sear driven, just like a release is. It doesn't take excessive pressure on the downward cable. You cock it and it stays up. If I was to use something for everything, that would probably be it. The only thing I would change is when I went to use it for targets, I would change the launcher to to more of a spring steel type whale tail. If customizing it wasn't an option, then I would choose the Pro Drop. The Pro Drop would be my choice. It can be a lizard tongue, it can be a cable driven, it can be a top limb driven, it can be a bottom limb driven, it can be anything you want. It's got double bearings in the body, tolerance fit axle. It's got different adapters for the axle for a lizard tongue or for the whale tail if you're going to use it as a fall away. You can use it as a lizard tongue. That is a fall away. So if I couldn't make something that doesn't currently, if I couldn't throw something on the DOA it doesn't come with, I would shoot the Pro Drop. That would be the best option there. If that's something you're looking for, then I would suggest, if you don't want to have to search through AAE's website to find all the parts and pieces, you're going to want John Dudley's new rest. It's John Dudley's new knock-on arrow rest is based off the Pro Drop platform, but we've made some changes, some modifications, some pretty good improvements. And John's knock-on, John has a name for it, but I'm not going to release that. I'm not going to steal John's thunder there, but John's arrow rest is going to come with a half cage, a full cage. It has the arrow holder. It's going to have the bracket for a lizard tongue. It's going to have the normal whale tail. So John put in some work, looking through all the shit that AAE makes to put together exactly what he wanted into one box. So kudos to him for that. But if you're looking for a one size fits all from start to finish, 8 to 80, dumb, crippled, and crazy, I would look at the new knock-on arrow rest. All right, let's see here. Adam, what is your preference on a weight ratio for front bar to back bar, or what's a good starting point in weight? Well, Adam, that really depends on your bow. It depends on your bow and it depends on your shooting style. If you heel the bow a lot, you're going to need a lot more weight out front. If you're a high wrister, you're going to need more weight in back. Or if you're a guy like a Chris Perkins or an Alex Wiffler, or someone who just runs a tremendous, Steve Anderson, those guys run a tremendous amount of weight out front. That's called a front end resistance load. They have so much weight on the front, they're just holding it up in the dot, resisting it until the shot breaks. If you master a stabilization system like that, you will pound hole. And I mean, you will pound hole. It is so incredibly accurate. But you got to be in shape for that. You got to be ready for it. I can't do it. It's just outside my power stroke. I can't do it. So the geometry of your bow matters. These new Hoyts are going to require a little different stabilization than like your PSEs are. I've not shot any of the new Matthews, but just from looking at the geometry, I could probably imagine that there's going to be a little bit of variance there as well because of the parallel limb designs. Some of those new Matthews don't have quite the same limb angles as some of the others, so you might get some variances between those. going to some of your older bows, those are basically, this has all to do with shifting center of gravities. And so there's so many variables there. If you want to shoot me a PM kind of explaining what you're looking at as far as your bow and some of the ideas you have, I'll reply in private. I could literally do a live feed for 2 hours alone just on stabilization, because that's my shit. So let's see. Micah, what's a good arrow weight threshold for moving from a 10 to a 12 thousandths blade? My X27s are 659. I had actually talked about this a little earlier. I threw a 10 on my Prevail SVX yesterday, thinking that, yeah, this will work. No, did not work. It's worked for me in the past, but it didn't work. It didn't work today. So if you're shooting an arrow that big, I don't know what bow you're shooting it out of. So that's going to be, Hoyts have a slight downward nock travel, which I'm a huge fan of. Some of your bows that have what they consider a level nock travel, you can get away with a lighter launcher blade. But for me, with that heavy of an arrow, if I was you, I would just go to a 12, just period. If you think it's getting a little jumpy, lower it down to more the 35-degree range, and that'll give you a little bit of that adjustability there. Well, all right, guys, I think that's pretty much going to be it. We're going to wrap her up. As always, thanks for hanging out with me today. I love all you guys. In case you hadn't noticed, man, I love this shit. I love my life. I love my job. All the people that I get to deal with and hang out with and share tuning stuff with. I mean, it doesn't get any better than this, does it? I mean, this is badass. So I'm grateful for all of you guys for tuning in. I'm grateful for your support. Grateful for your input. As always, we're gonna keep doing this thing. So there was one thing I wanted to show you guys before we leave. Hold on 1 minute. So this, I just put on these strings today. So I'm going to show you something here, and this is not a joke. This is literally how I seat every one of my new strings. And I started doing this back when Jesse Broadwater was making my strings, and I've been doing it ever since. And basically what I do is I am going to draw this bow is going to stay like this